Hey guys, welcome back to Farmers. In this video, I just want to blabber on about this new press release, the gazetted new immigration list for critical skills that apparently pharmacists are no longer on. So I have mixed feelings and I'm just going to chit chat about that a little bit. So if you care to listen, stay tuned. Pharmacists are no longer needed in South Africa. Okay, that was a tad bit too dramatic, but it really expresses my sentiments. Guys, I literally am just reading this BizTech news where the Minister of Foreign Affairs has published a new critical skills list. This was like 2 days ago on the 2nd of February. And apparently this list hadn't been updated since 2014. So that's a good 6 years. 8 years, guys. I can't count. It's a little late. Sorry. That's a good 8 years. My tongue is blue. I just had some candy. Ooh. Okay. Focus. Okay, on one side, this list is specific to immigration, so I get it. It speaks of foreigners. So it doesn't talk about local internal qualifications and matriculants. But on the other hand, I feel like there's such a divide and like different industries are not talking to one another. According to the WHO, the stats on the ratios of one pharmacist per a number of population is still so critically low. So pharmacy in itself is still a scarce skill in South Africa, in Africa, in the whole entire world. But according to immigration legislation or guidelines, they no longer will take that for as an acceptable reason for foreigners to come in and apply for a critical skills visa. Okay, two different things, but still, there's a lot of confusion, guys. If your country still doesn't meet the quota, why don't you allow foreigners to come meet it, especially if it's a healthcare skill and it's like still in need? I don't know. I'm perplexed. I get it. There's internal apparent saturation. I get it. The government can't even place its interns and its commserves. But perhaps they should include a clause, because what if some of these foreign pharmacists were coming to become pharmapreneurs, were coming to invest, to create jobs? Like, I currently work at a regulatory company that is owned by a foreigner. It's a multinational. This company is in Zimbabwe, in Botswana, in Namibia, and now in South Africa. So, I mean, I don't know what kind of visa they came in with, but I'm just saying, like, some companies might need to find alternative means to remain legally. Meanwhile, they are employers, they are job creators. So I feel like a strong disclaimer or like leeway or like, what do you call it, waiver should be included in these, provided the person comes to establish a business or like to create jobs and stuff. That might, you know, make it all right again. But anyways, you guys, it's such a mess. Industries are not talking to one another. On one hand, you have universities taking as many students as they possibly can because of their greedy asses. Universities are businesses, okay? Let's not kid ourselves. Their sole purpose is to make money, to take as many tuition per year as they can. They don't care if you know, there's 500 of you in first year. They don't care who makes it out to fourth year and graduates. Like, obviously there's a lot of dropouts along the way, and like, they don't care. They'll never tell you that the internal market is apparently saturated or anything like that. If you want to apply and if you meet the requirements, they'll take you. So I wish there was a way, and there actually is, but I wish these people would care enough, or like would dedicate an entire team to pay attention to these things, to just, you know, be like a watchdog, and like to harmonize the different sectors that are all affected. Like, can universities, you know, have a cutoff time every year to which, by which they talk to council and say, okay, it seems like this year government couldn't place enough of their interns and ComServes, so reduce the quota for next year. And like, they could just yin yang off of each other and like have this symbiosis of harmony where they talk and they agree. Like, this year you can increase the quota a bit more, the next year you need to decrease it. Like, and I get that there's so many factors involved. Like, not all students that come in want to stay. Many go back to their countries, aka Kenya and a lot of other notably African countries. So it's hard to say how many from the graduate pool is actually gonna want to stay. It's hard to tell, because you need to be fully qualified, you need to do internship and ComServe. Those are part of the qualification, right? To be able to register in the country. But if you're only doing a degree and then you need to go back with your degree without having the practicing end of the qualification, I don't know. To me, that just sounds incomplete. A lot of boards elsewhere, when you want to emigrate, like the video I did on Canada, the other one I did on Ireland, a lot of them want to see that you have practiced or have been registered in another country where you ideally studied, as part of your experiential learning and as part of some of the criteria to give you their registration, or to sign you on their board, or to like validate your whole training process. So nobody's talking to anyone else. Even this critical skills list, I'm not too sure they even included pharmacists in it whilst they were trying to resolve or to like edit or update the list. Like, I didn't see no open letter for comments or no communique to say, hey, what do you think about this? Like, just talk to industry. Perhaps it went to the to the PSSA, the society, because I used to be a member. I am no longer a member, and because they never communicate anything outside of their membership, maybe they had a communication. I don't know, and that's a whole different story on its own. Guys, communicate. Oh my goodness. Like, you can't hoard basic information. I feel like this is a separate video, but can the PSSA have like tiers of membership? There's literally, you cannot be the only recognized pharmaceutical society of the country and behave like you're an absolute private entity. Like, there needs to be a level of openness, you know? Like, certain publicly declared info should be available to like a first tier type of everyone who's registered with council, and then your own secretive things and your other programs can be for like other tiers of membership. But like, guys, I digress. That's a different video altogether. But I feel like all these organisms or entities are not talking to one another, and we still end up with the worst mess than 10 years ago when I qualified. Like, dear Lord, I have so many mixed feelings. It's really bad. As a foreigner myself, I remember having to apply for, I don't get me started, guys. I waited 3 years just to get a ComServe placement. My internship was a mess. My ComServe thing was a mess. Getting released was a mess. Getting finally registered as a pharmacist was a mess. I had a critical skills visa and then a PR afterwards. But like, guys, it's been a struggle and a half. And the thing is, nobody tells you these things at the onset. When I go back to my home country, my pharmacy degree is not even recognized. They will not register me back home. They will not even consider me for a conversion exam or anything because it's a completely different system. They do a Pharm D, here it's a B Pharm, like it's a mess. But none of these things are told to you at the onset. As a little 17-year-old, you come in and you're like so naive and you don't know anything. I wish these organisms, institutions, and systems would tell you up front. I wish these governments would talk to one another. I wish these African nations would harmonize. Like, why is it that on one continent, different countries don't even speak to one another? Their degrees don't even like merge or relate or interchange. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. But I don't want this video to drag on too long. My plea here is for the Pharmacy Council, because you are the regulator, you are the register of professionals, and you're supposed to look out for patients, right? For the public. So in the interest of public safety, of patient safety, you should be focusing on proper staffing, on numbers, on ratios, on quotas. You should be stopping the corporate bullies from monopolizing the ownership space, from monopolizing the corporate or the retail space. You should be enforcing them to go to the rural places where their ownership thing was even the sole purpose of from the beginning. You should stop taking any more corporates in urban areas. You should force and push every new owner into the rural spaces, increase the freaking quota or like improve distribution. And that's part of your, whether indirect or direct, it's part of your mandate as protecting the public, because in rural areas, these people are not protected. Patients have to travel long miles just to find a pharmacist, and half the time the services may or may not be complete. To find drugs, to source healthcare services, like, please encourage that, promote that, decrease the fees for those who want to open businesses in rural places. Help us create fast tracking lines for entrepreneurs that want to open retail outlets or community practices. Like, help those who want to do that to do that. We shouldn't have to queue alongside the big corporate giants that are bullies and that have like 100 licenses. We should have our own lane where things are fast-tracked, where fees and costs are either reduced or waived or spread out over a longer period, because none of us can afford to pay $40K in one go for like one little licensing thing, or for like accreditation, or for whatever it is that we're applying for. Please help us. Please work together with these government entities, with these numbers, these gazettes, these associations, all these organisms to improve the profession and open up your communication channels, your suggestion boxes and like recommendations. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to say, guys. I'm surprised even the doctors are not on this list anymore. So both doctors and physicians and pharmacists have been removed. I guess they have reached a quota for now. Who knows what will happen in a few years, but it's okay. Let the internal people be groomed, let the locals flourish. That's 100% on par. But at the same time, if the locals and the internal capacity isn't building more capacity, creating new jobs, creating new industries, new companies, then perhaps add a waiver or an invitation to the international folks to only be able to come and do that. On that note, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later. Toodles.